Givers is heading to Gqeberha with a drilling team to sink boreholes for the city rapidly running out of water. And I'm joined now by Dr. Imtiaz Suleiman, director for that charity. Thank you so much for joining us. So we know that they haven't actually reached day zero yet. There was concern because there was a break in water supply last week, but that was a separate issue. But they are frighteningly close. What are you hearing from people on the ground in various areas in this metro?
Good evening, Sally. We are on site now in Nelson Mandela Bay, and the feedback we're getting, well, one of the reasons we hear is that we're getting many calls from different areas saying they're not at day zero, but in essence, it's virtually at day zero, because with each day, there's less water coming through. There's water shedding, and everybody you speak to, some areas have no water at all for several days. Some areas have water in the day, and they said they have fairly good water in the day, and then it disappears and it comes back. So there's water shedding and shifting of water. Some areas, I think the industries are protected, where the water is not cut off to the industrial areas. It's understandable because job losses will be a major blow to the economy. And in other areas, again, spread across, it's a very wide city. In many areas, again, it comes through that they haven't had water for a long period of time. The one thing that sounds positive is that they had some boreholes that were drilled some time ago that have the capacity to produce large volumes of water. We haven't met the municipality yet. We're seeing them tomorrow, and we'll have more feedback from them. But these balls, quite a few of them, apparently are close to filtration plants or water treatment plants. If that's the case, it'll be easy to clean the water, because one of the challenges would be to get water that's probably totally drinkable. There's a lot of iron in the water, there's salt, and that may be a problem from ordinary balls. But if you're near a filtration plant, that's going to be a huge advantage. We'll have a better picture once we see them tomorrow. But just speaking to police, speaking to people in the street, people speaking to the airport, and journalists all over the area, there is water shedding. And in essence, if the situation is not sorted out, they are at day zero already.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. And speaking to Barry Martin of the city who deals with water and sanitation, he was saying that people are still using too much water. At this rate, they're going to run out of water in 11 days. He also said, when I mentioned that you were en route to try and assist with boreholes, that you were working through the business chamber, but you're saying you're going to be meeting with the municipality. Do you have any idea of how many boreholes you're going to be able to sink and how quickly you might be able to start assisting?
Well, we are working with the municipality and with business. We already met them 2 weeks ago. It was actually the municipality that called us. They gave us a comprehensive report of the water level, and it said in that report that the average water available in the city is 3.1%. Although some had 22%, some had 18%, and others had different varying degrees of water. But the total figure given there, you reach a certain point where you can't use the water, it's only silt. And silt can't go to the pumps, the pumps will burn out. So, yes, this municipality called us on the one side to see how we can help them. At the same time, the business people have called us, and we're meeting them also tomorrow morning to see how they can work through us. They want to work through us, and we have to have the link between business and the municipality. This can't be done alone. It has to be done with everybody together, because it's an emergency, and you need to help as many people as possible, as quickly as possible. We're looking at we've already cited the first 10 balls, and it's going to be a trial and error for us to see the rock formations, to see where the best yields are, what kind of metallic ingredients are in the water itself. Is it too high salt content? If it's closer to the sea, the salt content is too high. So we're moving away from the city, away from the sea, more inland to see which areas. At the same time, of course, we're going to go where there is no water. No point going where there is water. So we look at all those things. I'm very interested in what I heard this evening about balls being drilled in 2018 and just kept and closed off. And those balls are close to filtration plants. If some funding is required, maybe to make it viable, I don't know, and what cost that's going to be. But we'll discuss that tomorrow. We've got funding that, fortunately, over the last 24 hours, the Sunfoil Group has given us 5 million to start the drilling of boreholes in the area. We started tonight. We started at 5 o'clock tonight in Alpha Primary School to get the rocks tested out, and from tomorrow onwards, we mapped many other areas, and we'll see how fast we can go. If necessary, we'll bring in more drills. Once the funding increases and we need to drill many more boreholes in one day, then we'll bring more drilling machines in. We can bring another 4 drilling machines on site.
So talk to me about how the borehole water can work. Is it a long-term solution? And is it anything more than a very localized solution? So I remember when you drilled boreholes or tried to reactivate boreholes at Rahima Musa Mother and Child Hospital. Talk to me about the role of borehole water, because also speaking to Barry Martin, he said that it might only provide about 10% of the water that is required by the whole city. Could it be more, maybe?
It depends on how many boreholes you drill. You know, it can support the whole city if necessary. But remember, the city's needs is 280 megaliters, which is a huge amount of water. That you need huge amounts of boreholes to do that. So, of course, you can't supply everybody. That's just not possible. And it's going to take a long time to drill. So you have to drill very wisely. And we do different systems. We do boreholes, you know, for smaller communities. Then we don't go too deep if there's a yield, a decent yield. If the community is bigger, we go deeper. The challenge is then the type of rock formation and what metallic components come out of that water. Is there too much of iron, arsenic, manganese, sodium chloride, calcium, all those kind of things have to look at. And then is it drinkable or not? If you need to put a filtration plant, how big is the filtration plant? How much chemicals are required? Do you need 2,000 liters or 30,000 liters a day? If you need more, the filtration plant requires a bigger plant, requires more chemicals. It's all dependent on funding, the areas to strike, how the chemical content, the type of geology, the type of rocks, all those are important. And yes, it has to be spread out in different areas. That's why we've mapped out very diverse areas. We've taken the report given to us by the Metro, and they had red dots and yellow dots. And we started off on the red dot areas and started identifying those areas. But yes, bowls can last a long time. Look, we've drilled in Sutherland in 2017. Those bowls are still lasting to provide water for the animals. We've drilled 15 bowls in Makanda. They're still running. We've got a bowl in a place called NCA that produces 1 million liters of water a day. We drill 15 bowls in Tonga right now for the flood areas where the water plants are destroyed. And those bowls are producing large quantities of water.
Talk to me about, you say you've got the report from the Metro. I know you've got water engineers, and I think people are probably more frank with you about what the problems are. Is there something that went wrong in this Metro, or are they just the victims of a really difficult drought period?
I can't say something went wrong. That's a problem in the whole country. Management and maintenance is a huge problem in the entire country. Planning in advance is a huge problem in the entire country. The drought was not coming yesterday. This is happening from before June last year. Interventions were required a long time ago. The government systems are the problem. Who's responsible? National water, a water board, provincial water, the municipality. That's the biggest problem. Nobody takes responsibility. Where does the funding come from? The solutions are quite simple. For example, for Makanda, the problem is how we put dam can provide more water to the area, but the pumps are not working. The pipes have crept to the area. There's enough water in the dam. The biggest issue is water. If you have water, fixed other parts can deliver the water. The water delivery systems are destroyed. And once you have water, because if you don't have water, you can have all the money in the world. There's nothing you can do except boreholes. But if you have water, put systems in place that can make it functional. And I think some of the dams do have water, but there's a problem with the pumps, or there's not enough pumps, or it's not pumping strong enough. So it's a combination of a drought, a management system, and tiers of government, because who takes responsibility? Everybody kicks the can forward, and in the end, when day zero happens, then everybody's looking for answers. You can't do that. You're supposed to be preemptive and solve the problem long before it happens, and not hope that the rain will come on the 17th of June.
Thank you so much, Dr. Imtiaz Suleiman, Director of humanitarian organisation Gift of the Givers, and they are in Gqeberha looking to drill boreholes to help alleviate the dire water situation there. Still to